I remembered that my soul chose to come to Earth. I remembered where I was before I was born.
What made me come back was that I had agreed to do this before I was born.
Why are we here? To learn to love.
I was in a beautiful, beautiful field. The flowers were so vibrant and alive.
And I realized I was looking at none other than Jesus Christ, the Son of God.
I found myself not only forgiving her, there actually, after seeing everything so clearly and seeing why she was the way she was and who she really was on a soul level, after seeing that, there wasn't even a need to forgive her. It was just a big, oh, I get it now.
So if I had committed a loving action, it was like love upon light. A purely loving action was the most wonderful thing that I could ever achieved in my life.
NDEs, or near-death experiences, are stories of those who have briefly crossed the threshold of death but were resuscitated. Testimonies reveal experiences of the realm beyond death. Decades of reports of NDEs from patients and doctors have been collected. Select experiences share esoteric insights into understanding the nature of the life after life and shine a light on the great questions of the human soul.
Well, it happened at a time in my life when I didn't have a spiritual component to my life. An actual, in real life, I was borderline atheist. And I was working at a dude ranch. I had gone down to grab a couple horses that had run down to the hay barn with their saddles on. And I felt really excited because they were standing right next to each other in a group of about 80 horses, and they were side to side. And I tried to wiggle between them to get up to their heads. And what happened was I popped out of my body, my consciousness. Now, I know now that it was my soul, but at that time I was totally flabbergasted because I had no idea why my consciousness was standing 20 feet away watching me struggle between the horses. So all of a sudden, one of the horses screamed and a stampede started, and I watched myself fight and scream for my life. And I watched myself get kicked around and then slammed into the hay barn and dropped like a sack of potatoes. The interesting thing was I didn't feel anything. I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I felt this incredible level of serenity and peacefulness that radiated from this experience. I was still astonished because I didn't know what was going on, but I felt like so much love, and I felt like this was just the way you let go of it was like taking off a body girdle that was 4 sizes too small. I felt refreshed and incredibly electric.
And I was actually taken to a place where I could see far in the distance a big source of light. So as I was just enjoying and immersed in this incredible feeling of joy and amazement, just in like that, in a second, I appeared in the maid's room. I was looking at the made from above. And I had like this 360-degree view of the whole place. And she was there, lying on the bed, listening to a soap opera. So this is incredible because the level of clarity about this whole experience can bring me even to remember the soap opera that she would listen in the radio. And I look at her from above and I just thought, oh, that's Maria. She's lying there listening to the radio. And then just like that, in another, it's just a snap, I appear on my mom path. I was looking at my mom from above. And oh, now I was there. My mom was walking. She was about to catch her bus, and I can tell you that the distance between the house and the place where she had to catch her bus was about 10 minutes. And she was close to her bus stop when I just looked at her and I said, oh, that's Mom. And at that moment, she felt like if something was going wrong. So that just made me wonder how connected we are, and how she just probably maybe hear me, I don't know. But this is what we also call like the mom instinct. Is how close we in reality are from each other, and how we can sense and feel our loved ones. Is this connection that we have with each other. So my mom felt like something was going wrong with one of her babies, and she just turned around and I saw her anguish, and I just looked at her and she just turned around and started to run back to the house. In the meanwhile, I just didn't really care much of what was happening, and I just started to just look at the trees and the streets and the animals and the people, and wherever I put my mind, I went. At this point, it's like time and space had vanished, and I could be at any place at any time. If I would look at the end of the street, I would just be there. If I would look at something I like in the background, I would just be there. And I was kind of playing this little game of going places. Suddenly everything started to just vanish. Then as everything was vanishing, I just started to just see light, until I was completely engulfed and submerged in pure, bright light. This was absolutely incredible. I felt the most amazing sense of peace, love. It's like I have been invited, and I have been welcomed with open arms by this light. And although I had seen my body suspended in the water, I have to tell you that up to this point, I did not have the awareness that I didn't really possess a body. I didn't have the awareness that I was not that person, that body that I left behind. Then I looked at myself and I realized that I was made of pure bright light, just as the light that I was immersed in. And at that moment, I had the knowing that this was not the first time that I had experienced this state of being, and that I already have been a being of light before. And although I could not see other life experiences, I sensed like I was coming back home, like I was home.
I was in a tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, I could see this bright, radiant light, and the tunnel was filled with brightly colored bricks. And I didn't know what it was, but I was very curious, and right then I was overcome with so much love and so much happiness and joy that I wanted to stay there. So I started crawling toward the light, and the reason I started crawling toward the light was I tried to stand up and walk, but I couldn't walk. The ground was unstable. It was bumpy. And so I started crawling, and I looked toward the light, and I see this lady coming out of the light. And I just stopped where I was and just watched her come. And she came to me, and she picked up my hand and stood me up and said, "My name is Elizabeth. I am your guardian angel, and I will help you." And from there, she led me down to through the light to what I believe was heaven. And from right there, I was greeted by deceased relatives who had died before I went in the swimming pool. And they gave me hugs, patted me on the back, said, we're really glad you're here, Kristle, we're really glad you made it. From there, I met two friends, Heather and Melissa. They basically helped me. They told me that they were going to be born soon. That's what Elizabeth told me, my guardian angel too. She told me this is the last chance I have to be a guardian angel before I'm born.
And then all at once, all of this information became available to me. And I had the sensation that I already knew these answers. I already knew the information, but I had completely forgotten the information while I was on Earth. And it was wild. So it was like, oh my God, I instantly knew I never could die and that I was eternal. But I also saw even more powerful than that for me, because that was sort of a given for some reason in that state. Oh yeah, we never die. Of course, I forgot. But the other part was I saw how innocent I really was. And that was stunningly profound. I was totally blameless. I was pure and I was innocent and I was deeply cherished and loved. And there was no other being in my NDE. It was just me, but I didn't feel at all alone. And it was the least alone I've ever been in my life. It was like the place itself was alive and it was telling me things and it was loving me. It was just absolutely pretty hard to describe it. So I saw my innocence, and that was mind-blowing because, for years I had carried around immense shame, and for all kinds of things, just shame, for a lot of different reasons. And I think most people carry around a lot of shame. And that was cured in one fell swoop. The shame was gone. I knew I was innocent. The other thing I knew was that life was completely safe. My life on Earth and here and in this other realm was always safe. There was nothing to be afraid of ever. I also saw that it was all perfect. It was all for love, and it was all perfect, even when I couldn't see it. In the state I was in my NDE, I could see why. I could see it all come together, like, like seeing the big picture of things, like, oh my God, it's all, it inspired within me feelings of absolutely indescribable gratitude for my life. Life was beautiful from that perspective. It was so meaningful and so rich with experience and love and connection and beauty and all of that and more. And I saw that the place that I was in, this forest with the river and where I was and all this knowledge, was always with me. I was never actually away from it. I just sort of thought I was all that time on Earth. It's another part of it that's very hard to describe. It's like, it's closer than your breath, that spiritual realm that we are a part of. And from where we come from, this spiritual realm where we are truly at home, is always, we're carrying it with us all the time. It's closer than my hand. It's closer than the teeth in my head. It's right there, but you can't see it. And the only reason you can't see it, and this is really, really amazing and very simple, the only reason we can't see it is because of fear. And that's a very deep topic. And I've spent hours and hours and hours and days and months and years now trying to dissect how fear infects our lives and how it gets into everything and how it completely warps our perspective on life and on ourselves and on everything. For example, everyone is absolutely astonishingly beautiful. Everyone is incomparably beautiful, and I mean that literally. But because of fear and shame, we can't see it. We can't see it all the time. We rarely can see it to the degree that it is a reality. If we could see it, put it this way, if you could see how beautiful you really are, you would never, ever worry about your looks again. You would just be out in the world just as an innocent child that loves themselves. You wouldn't, like, yeah, I'm beautiful, and so are you. I mean, it really is like that. I know it sounds corny, but it really was. That was what I saw. I also saw my stepmother. I did not have a life review during my NDE, but I did have sort of a mini life review into another person's life. So my stepmother was very, we had a very hard relationship, and there was some sort of abusive things that happened. And so during my NDE, I was shown her life, and I was shown into her heart. And I was shown things that, to be honest, I can't remember everything I was shown. That was kind of taken away. That memory was taken away when I came back. But at the time, I could see it all very clearly. So I can't give you specific incidents that I saw in her life because that's been veiled again. But I did see whatever it was that I saw when I peered into her whole life. And it happened within an instant. I saw what a beautiful soul she is, how brave she is. I saw that she had been mistreated and abused. And I saw how all of the bad behavior and cruelty that I felt from her was purely because of, once again, purely because of her fear. And I found myself not only forgiving her, there actually, after seeing everything so clearly and seeing why she was the way she was and who she really was on a soul level, after seeing that, there wasn't even a need to forgive her. It was just a big, oh, I get it now. You know, like just total compassion and understanding for her, and love, total love for her. And on top of that, I admired her. So I went from feeling victimized and feeling like she was not a nice person and not a good person. I went from that to completely changing it and admiring her. And that was very powerful. That was very powerful. And I've always remembered that now. So whenever I see someone behaving badly or being cruel or acting out of this or that fear, I look at them as fearful, and I see them as I try to see them as God sees them, which is the way God showed me what my stepmother was really like and why she was the way she was.
I had this connection to the smallest part of me that was like the little ego, or whatever we want to call it, and even like my animal nature. And I had this connection also to the part of me that's just soul. And then I had connection to the people on the outside all around me. And yet I could feel the oneness as well, and all the layers of everyone and everything that was. And then I also had a connection beyond that was source. And I say source a lot because it feels almost weird for me to use God since my NDE, because it feels almost like I'm narrowing it, but I understand we need words here, so I say both. But I was connected to source as well, and it all came together in my life review, and I could feel everyone, and I could feel myself, and I had compassion on myself and other people. The way as parents, when we have a toddler or two toddlers, say they're playing, and you know, one gets mad and pulls the block from the other, and we're not thinking of that toddler, you're evil or you're bad, or now you're not gonna make it to heaven, you know, or if your toddler runs down the hallway and trips and falls, it's not, you know, I'm gonna write that one down. It was like everything was it. I just understood everyone like children, and I wanted for everyone, including myself. And in that life review, I was able to feel for myself the way we would feel for our own children. And I had this compassion for myself, where I wanted for myself to be happier and to do, you know, to do better, not as in, you know, get the higher grade, but just to be happier, that kind of better. Like have fun, lighten up, it's okay, you know, and things like that. And in this experience in the life review, I had someone in my life who I thought was my enemy, and this person came up in the life review, and I didn't even realize, it's not that I thought consciously, I should say, of enemy, but I saw her and I had judgments in my mind, you know, she's so bad or whatever from what I had experienced or witnessed. And I didn't realize that I had held that in me. And in the life review, I connected with this person, and that was probably the most powerful feeling of love in my whole NDE, was when I was able to connect with who she really is beyond all of the things I thought I knew about her and the judgments that I made. And it doesn't condone, you know, what had happened, what I had seen, but the love that I felt from the source coming through at all the different levels, and being able to see her in who she really is and what she's connected to, was another mind-blowing thing for me. And so after my NDE, I came back, and immediately it was a big relief. I was sobbing and just all this stuff coming out, and I could almost feel like my body physically was changing because I had this love for her. That was like the love that you would feel for a firstborn child.
NDE testimonies reveal key lessons about our true nature. While in our mortal bodies, it is difficult to detect the reality of that which we are, the spirit within, a being composed of pure spiritual light, emanating from the love of God. In this mortal life, we are easily blinded by fear to the light which makes up our being. At any time, however, we can again find the connection to the all-encompassing love of God. God sees the truth of who we are and looks upon us as children, clumsily trying our best. Knowing who we are allows us to appreciate and love every human being, no matter their past mistakes. In our next 2 installments of the series, we will build upon everything we have learned. We will listen to NDEs, where experiencers were taught the answers to some of our most troubling questions, the purpose of life and the meaning of suffering.